How's it going, guys? Nicky D here, and welcome back to the channel. So, pardon the camera quality. Uh, I'm not going to be recording this on my phone because this baby right here is almost full in storage, so I'm going to have to do some spring cleaning on this. But I'm going to use my computer and to record my reaction. So, today's reaction. I've been anticipating this for over a year now. It's been 14 months exactly. It is episode 2 of the first case of Elements of Justice, the Phoenix Wright and MLP crossover. I am so excited to finally see the next part. Now, I do know some changes have happened to the series. I think a couple voice actors have changed. But hey, Al Javis came through, and he got us a new episode. So I'm super excited. I see that Prince Blueblood is in the thumbnail. I don't know how relevant he's going to be to this case. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see. So yeah, I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping it's going to be something good. I've been playing a little bit of Phoenix Wright on my Switch lately. I'm on the last case of the second game, I believe. I haven't gotten to the third one yet. But holy crap, I just remembered how much I love Phoenix Wright. Honestly, the game is great, so is the music, the writing, just everything about Phoenix Wright is awesome. Seriously, if you haven't played the games yet, please download them. Well, you can download it on your Switch, you can download it on Steam. It originally came out for the DS, so if you have a DS and looking for a good game, definitely go for Phoenix Wright. So, yeah, I'm just excited that we get more Turnabout Storm. I mean, not Turnabout Storm, that'd be something. Elements of Justice. Okay, so I have it loaded on my second monitor right here. So, let's make like Phil DeFranco and just jump right into it. Let's get it. Let's get it. 3, 2, 1. Click, 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 click. Just to get it up a little bit. Court, Defendant, Lobby, number 2.
I never thought I'd come back to this world, let alone take on another trial. Come to think of it, I haven't set foot in a courtroom in general for a good while.
Oh? Why's that?
Remember what?
Oh, that's right,
was
Webkick is Twilight
yesterday?
now, I think.
That was our last case, and that was well over a month ago.
Oh, well, I'm sure there's no need to worry. You were disbarred for 7 years like you said yesterday, but you've still taken on plenty of murder cases before and since, right? You have a lot of experience under your belt. Just because there's been a little bit of a hiatus doesn't mean you'll revert back to being a rookie.
She's probably right, but I'm pretty sure I felt like one several times throughout my career.
There's nothing wrong
yeah.
with a little refresher, though. Right, Apollo?
Sure. I'm pretty confident Mr. Wright's got this, though. Besides, I'd rather focus on making sure you're up to speed on things.
Hey, come on. I'm not a newbie anymore. I can keep up with everyone else, no sweat.
Athena, there's no shame in being inexperienced. We've all got to start somewhere.
Facts.
This is so cool! We're about to watch Daddy defend in court in a whole nother world with cute magical ponies!
You can say that again. I can't contain my excitement. Well, I'm happy to see that you're all enjoying yourselves. And thanks again, everyone. We really appreciate you being here today.
Of course!
This certainly is going to be the experience of a
This guy's
lifetime,
ex-friend.
despite the circumstances. By the way, Twilight, there's something I've been meaning to ask you.
What is it, Apollo?
You mentioned that murder is nearly unheard of in Equestria. The first one to supposedly happen was for the case where Mr. Wright defended Rainbow Dash. How advanced can your criminal laws be if such serious crimes rarely, if ever, occur?
Apparently, they're nearly identical to ours. I remember Twilight saying something like Equestria's judicial system was inspired by humans.
That's right. I've read many books on both humans and human law. The human legal system has been refined through countless years of study and practice, and yet it is still evolving. That's why equestrian law is practiced very similarly, and what influenced the designs of nearly all of Equestria's courthouses.
Well, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, as they say.
True.
Hey, boss.
In a way.
What's up, Athena?
I was just wondering,
Who's gonna be your co-counselor for the trial? I don't see anyone else who would be up for the task, and we don't have the right badges.
I figured it'd be best to go with Twilight. She was my co-counsel during Rainbow Dash's trial, after all.
But doesn't she need an equestrian attorney's badge to be allowed to stand in court?
I feel like there'd be a
Nope.
conflict of interest
Since I'm
because she's a
I can
princess.
stand in court without the need of a badge.
Oh,
But
never mind.
aren't you
Privilege.
Just a unicorn during Rainbow Dash's case? How could you be Mr. Wright's co-counsel if you weren't a princess?
Well, since I was Princess Celestia's student at the time, she gave me special permission. Phoenix had no
There's the
experience
privilege.
in how Equestria worked, so we made an appeal to the Equestria High Council to allow me to be there to assist him.
I know you'd love to help out, Athena, but playing it safe for Miss Pommel's sake is our best option. With Twilight by my side, we've got someone who knows the rules of this world like the back of their hand. Hoof.
I gotcha, boss. Oh, speaking of Miss Pommel, she's here.
Huh? What's up with Coco all of a sudden? She seemed fine yesterday.
Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Morning, Rarity. What's wrong with Coco?
I'm not sure myself. I saw her being escorted here by the guards with this rather, despondent look upon her face. It pained me to see her looking like that just before her trial, so I thought I'd steal her away from the guards with a little phony charm. I was hoping I could figure out what's been plaguing her mind, but I'm afraid I haven't been able to get a single word out of her.
This place is in some serious trouble if someone genuinely dangerous is ever trusted to guards like those. Hey, Coco. How are you holding up? Wow.
Come on, Coco, say something.
She's really out of it today.
Oh, the
Oh, poor girl.
thing. The trial has her worried sick.
I guess that's understandable. It can't just be that, though. Can it?
All right, Miss Pommel, you've got nothing to fear. You're innocent, and Daddy here will prove it. He'll show everyone that you had nothing to do with Overall Concept's murder.
Oh, no.
It's okay. It's okay. I know how much you care about him.
Oh, my heart.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It's fine. Darling, there's something stuck in your mane.
What is that? It looks like glitter?
Oh,
Gaga was here.
sorry. I haven't had a chance to clean myself since I got arrested.
They don't offer you showers in prison?
How dare they allow you to stay dirty in detention? Especially in your state? Why, that's horrible!
It really is. Low-key.
Can you give me a second? I need to calm myself down before the trial begins.
Of course, darling. Go lay on that couch over there and mellow out. It'll help, I promise.
Well, you would know.
Okay, Rarity. You'll excuse me.
Overall Concept must have been very special to her.
He was. The two always seemed so happy together. If both of their letters to me were any indication, every pony who worked with them thought so too.
It must be hard to lose such a good friend like that. I can't even imagine how she feels.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's something I wouldn't wish on anyone, and it only makes it worse that she's accused of murdering him. But that's exactly why we need to fight for her. It's the only way to get her out of this, and bring her some peace of mind.
I kind of wonder who's going to be the judge in this case.
So, Twilight, do you have any information on who we're up against?
You mean the prosecutor?
Yeah. Any idea who it's gonna be?
I believe it's going to be Princess Celestia's nephew.
She has a
Oh,
nephew?
he's the prosecutor.
Does that
That's why.
make him a prince?
Yes.
Yep.
And yes. In fact, his name is Prince Blueblood.
Sorry, I'm just...
That pompous excuse for a stallion?
Rarity, please, inside voice. This is a courthouse.
Oh, right. I'm guessing you're still on bad terms with him then.
Bad terms? Oh, I've never met a stallion whom I've had such high hopes for, only to have them come crashing down. Of course
Know
I'm
that
still
feeling.
on bad terms with him. And you're saying that he's the prosecutor?
Rarity, I'm sure he's just doing it for the experience.
But out of all the ponies it could have been, why him? I swear to Celestia, he better keep that horse's mouth shut about my little Coco. Or I will show him what it truly means to be a royal pain.
Oh, come on.
Hey, getting
There you go.
hostile.
Okay, she just said okay.
Go on the couch to calm yourself down.
Firefox just
Could use your
botched
company.
itself for a second.
Yes, you're right. Goodness, I cannot believe how mad that stallion makes me.
Just as dramatic as ever, isn't she?
You don't
Twilight
know
just
the
appeared back up.
half of it.
Okay, I'm thinking
That screaming almost
for the
rivals
video
your
for editing
Princess Steel,
purposes.
Apollo.
Sorry, guys.
For real. She's about as soft as a marshmallow at first glance, until you anger her and she comes at you with the fire and intensity of 1,000 suns.
So, you're saying that she turned into a roasted marshmallow? Now thinking about it, it makes me
Stick to
hungry.
magic.
I wish I had some words with me.
Twilight, what
Schmoes.
did you mean just now when you said this Prince Blue Blood is doing this for experience? What could warrant someone like him prosecuting a case?
Well, he has royalty. Like I said, he's probably using this murder trial as an opportunity to gain some trial experience. After all, if you're ever going to rule a kingdom in Equestria, you're going to need extensive knowledge on the law and how to uphold it. As a matter of fact, I've been studying a lot of law since I became a princess myself.
No kidding. How are you finding it?
Oh, it's been so enjoyable. I can't tell you how amazing it has been, learning about all the laws that are in place.
So, it's like an exam then. You study, then the trials you take part in test how much you've learned and what sort of knowledge they're after. Like the one this blue blood guy is taking part in today.
Is it embarrassing if that comparison makes me even more pleased that I'm doing it?
Yes, it
I
is.
certainly don't remember my law school experience being so fun. I'm envious.
Yeah.
So,
Now I
based
wanna go
on
to
the
law school.
location of
I'm
your
kidding, no, I don't.
castle, Does
That's
that
like
mean
7 years.
Ponyville is technically your kingdom?
I wouldn't exactly say that. It's just a place where all my friends live, so I figured, why not have the castle there too? Then again, the
You don't really have a
castle's
say
sort of
in where you're. Yep.
I mean, built itself there. I had no say in it.
Just about to say
The
that.
castle built itself? Do I even want to know how that's possible?
Well, it should build itself on rock and roll.
A lot has happened in the year and a half since you were here last.
You transformed into an alicorn, became a princess, and now you have your own castle that apparently built itself? I thought my life was crazy, but your life really got turned upside down.
Fresh Prince style,
The
baby.
trial's about to begin. Will the defendant and their attorney please enter the courtroom?
As much as I'd love to talk about what's been happening in Equestria, we have a trial to take on. I hope you're ready, Phoenix.
Ready as
Good
I'll
point.
ever be.
Let's get it, baby.
Good luck,
Almost
Mr.
cursed.
Wright.
We'll be cheering you on from the gallery.
Break a leg, Daddy!
Thanks, everyone. All right. Twilight, let's head inside.
Right behind you, Phoenix.
I wonder who's gonna be the judge. Is it gonna be the same one from? Oh, hello. It's the same judge. Let's go.
Court is now in session.
That's the same judge from Turnabout Storm. Let's go.
Are the prosecution and defense ready?
The prosecution has naturally been ready and waiting.
Oh,
The defense is ready. Your Honor!
again.
I knew you'd be surprised to see me, Mr. Wright.
New? But... What?
Wait, why is the judge here?
Oh, wow. Hiya, Judge.
Mr. Justice and Miss Sykes? Is that you over there?
Is this contempt of court
Your
technically?
Honor?
Oh, Miss Wright. It seems as though Mr. Wright's brought the whole gang along.
The gang's all here.
What exactly is going on here?
Oh, did I forget to mention that I summoned the judge here?
Who's
again?
calling me?
Yes, you did.
Sorry. There's just been so much going on. I guess it just slipped my mind. But hey, it is a nice surprise seeing him again, right?
Even the judge is more aware of what's going on here than I am. That's a new
I know that feeling all too well.
So, why did you summon him again? I thought you said Princess Celestia is the one who usually presides as the judge.
Conflict of interest, probably.
Was this another decision made by the High Council?
No, I just thought you'd be more comfortable having a familiar figure presiding, much like before. So, I put in a request to summon him again, and the court agreed. Besides, your judge loves being in Equestria. He stayed a while after you left last time, you know? Apparently, he really wanted to see the Summer Sun celebration. I knew he'd jump at the chance to come back.
Oh.
Who wouldn't?
That's very thoughtful of you, Twilight. I certainly do feel at home with him sitting up there. And I can't think of a judge more fair than him, if I'm being honest.
Even though he is a pretty nebulous guy.
I hope you all have as wonderful a time here as I did, Mr. Wright.
Well, they were kind of dragged along, so they had no choice.
If I may interject, may we cease this chit-chat and get on with the trial already?
Get on with it!
Of course. My apologies, Mr. Prince Blueblood, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I am like no other prince in Equestria.
Oh, great. Another prosecutor who looks like they're going to ensure an unpleasant experience.
Very full of themselves.
That being said, what are you supposed to be?
Racist.
Me? What am I supposed to be?
A defense attorney.
My name's Phoenix Wright. I'm Miss Palmel's defense attorney.
Ah, so it is you then. The famous Phoenix Wright, the human lawyer who served as the defense in the TS5 incident?
The TS5 incident? Sounds like our legal system isn't the only human thing ponies imitated.
The trial that took
I'm assuming
place
that's like
a year
the
and a
case
half
number.
ago, following that unfortunate incident near Ponyville.
He must be talking about Rainbow Dash's trial. I suppose it must have been big news, considering the circumstances.
I must say, it was an impressive victory, especially since you proved that there wasn't even a murder to begin with. Unfortunately for you, your defeat here is guaranteed.
Oh my god, he sounds like Von Karma.
I'd recommend giving up before I bring the same shame and humiliation upon you that I brought upon the rest of the attorneys I have encountered. As a stallion of royal blood, losing to a commoner such as yourself is something I am simply incapable of doing.
1%ers, man.
Just ticking every box on how not to make a good first impression, aren't you, buddy?
Now, I think it's about time we got on with the trial. Will the prosecution please begin their opening statement?
Of course, Your Honor.
Here we go, Phoenix.
The crime took place in the Bridalway Theater, located in the heart of Manhattan, where the play Hinny of the Hills was being performed. I have a promotional poster for the play here.
Oh, this looks interesting. I'll have to get a ticket to the next show as soon as...
Was it evening show or matinee?
Unfortunately, Your Honor, that will be impossible. Due to the obviously unforeseen circumstances, all future showings at Bridalway Theater are on hold. And besides, the show in question was completely sold out 7 hours before the play even started. The last ticket was bought by the defendant around noon of that day. You'll be hard-pressed to find an opportunity to buy a ticket, let alone actually manage to see the play.
Well, that's a shame. I don't suppose there are any other sites in the city I could catch while I'm here?
I've heard that there'll be some sort of race here soon. I suppose if you're still here, you could watch that.
I'm not really into watching races like all of the young people are these days. My brother is, though. He's been...
If you don't mind, Your Honor, I'd like us to get back to the case at Hoof.
Hold you in content!
Yes, of course. My apologies.
Taking my bottle of water is like on the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. The victim in this case is Overall Concept, who worked as the head costume designer for the theater. Allow me to present his autopsy report for your perusal.
Is he gonna pull like a Miles Edgeworth and do like a second autopsy? Oh wow. 4 hooves. Glitter in his forehead
Seems
is
as though
glitter
the
on
victim
Coco's hair.
was
It's not good for Coco.
unconscious at the time of his death. It's at least comforting to know that he didn't suffer.
Indeed, Your Honor.
The victim was unconscious when he died. I'd better remember that detail.
As for the defendant in this case, that would be the victim's assistant, Miss Coco Pamel, who joined the theater several months ago. On that fateful night, Miss Pamel and Mr. Concept were in the
Alright, good. I was checking to see if it said cakewalk. I'm gonna let you hold that one down now.
This is likely how glitter found its way to the victim's forehooves, as stated in the autopsy report. Around 8:50 p.m., Miss Pamel attacked Mr. Concept in the dressing room. Attempting to save himself, Mr. Concept fled, but Miss Pamel gave chase. The victim ran up to the catwalk that runs above the stage, with the unsuspecting actor still performing below. It was on this catwalk where the defendant caught up to the victim and mercilessly attacked him once more, knocking him unconscious with a blow to the back of the head. Wasting no time, she wrapped a noose around the unconscious victim's neck. With the other end of the rope tied to the catwalk's railing, she pushed his body off the edge and hanged him in front of a full house of 5,000 ponies.
Why is Barry Punch like smiling? She shouldn't be smiling.
Way to die.
I wholeheartedly agree, Your Honor.
Hold on a second. This is just pure speculation. What makes you think my client is the killer? She and the victim were good friends.
And you think the fact that they were friends is enough to let her off the hook? Nonsense. I expected better from you, human.
If your case has as much evidence as your opening statement, it might as well be enough. I expected more than just pure speculation from you, Mr. Blueblood.
Prince Blueblood.
You don't deserve it.
For your information, none of this is, as you say, pure speculation. Not only do I have physical evidence to back up my claims, but there is a decisive witness who saw the whole thing take place.
That witness he's talking about must be Playwright.
Right. And allegedly he saw Coco chasing Overall up to the catwalk.
Let's hope he doesn't say anything too conclusive before you even get a chance to fight back.
Please call this witness to the stand, Prince Blueblood.
Of course, Your Honor.
Yep.
Witness, state your name and occupation for the record.
The name's Playwright. I'm the director of Broadway Theater. My job is to make sure that all of my plays are nothing short of masterpieces.
Your passion
Never realized
for the
how
craft is
frazzled his
truly
tail
impressive.
looks.
Now, is it true that you saw the defendant chasing the victim 2 nights ago?
Yes, it is. I couldn't stand their loud hoof steps. I was worried that they were going to interrupt my play, you see. This performance was the best one yet.
It truly is a shame that your play was interrupted by such a horrific tragedy. Mr. Playwright, I would like for you to please testify as to what you saw on the night of the murder.
It would be my pleasure.
This is it, Phoenix.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Go time, baby. Really love the visuals of what they're doing here. It's a lot more dramatic.
I was in the left wing
So
of the
cool.
stage, watching my play being performed. Suddenly, I saw Mr. Concept being chased by Miss Pommel up the catwalk. I tried to ignore the disturbance they were causing, but then I saw Mr. Concept hanging right above center stage. I ran up to the catwalk immediately and saw Miss Pommel looking down from where Mr. Concept fell. As much as I hate to believe it, Miss Pommel must have been the one who killed him. I can't see anything else that would suggest otherwise.
So the defendant really was chasing the victim?
Yes, I have no doubt in my mind.
You might not, but I do. Besides, you can't pronounce Coco Pomel's name properly.
He seems pretty
For shame.
confident.
Don't they all? Anyway, all we need to get the ball rolling is a contradiction in his testimony.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
I was in the left wing of the stage, watching my play being performed.
Hold it!
What was this play about?
It's about a mare named Hinny. She's an orphan who's determined to find her parents, who she was separated from at birth.
Oh? How'd they get separated?
Well, it's an incredible tale.
Objection! Do you mind? Some of us are still planning
Who bloods
to see this
objection?
play when the showings resume.
I don't mean any
Now,
disrespect to the
try
voice actor, of
spoil it
course.
for me. Not to mention, the plot is absolutely irrelevant to this case.
Oh, of course. My apologies. I just love talking about this story.
No, that feeling.
Oh, but I wanted to know how it all ends.
Why don't you show it yourself, fool?
You said you were watching from the left side of the stage. Didn't the chase happen on the right side, though?
Oh, are you referring to it as the house left wing? In that case, no, I was on the other side.
But
Alright, house left, house
you
right.
just said you were on the left side.
You don't know theater, do you,
know
buddy?
anything about the performing arts?
Supposed to say, hate this character? He's got a point.
I was in the art department at college. I, actually wanted to be a stage actor myself.
You? Trust me, you wouldn't last a day in the business.
Can you object to badgering the council?
Thanks for the advice on a career choice I gave up on nearly 15 years ago.
Anyway, since you're obviously on the ignorant side when it comes to stage terminology, let me give you a little lesson. They were running through the stage left wing, but it's also called the house right wing. You call it stage left if you're looking at the audience from the stage, and you call it house right if you're looking at the stage from the audience. I just tend to go with the stage terms because I'm usually behind the curtains.
So is it left or right?
If it makes it easier for you, I'll go with your version and call it the right side. Does that make you feel better?
Yes, actually. Anyway, why watch from the side? Wouldn't directors normally watch from the audience?
You're right. Many directors do tend to watch from the audience, but I like to be up close and personal during a performance. I want to make sure that my performers are at the top of their game.
Are you saying that you aren't confident in your actors to give it their all?
Oh, of course not!
Wow.
My performers are among the best in the business! Or they are now, at least. I just take a few extra precautions to make sure that my plays are absolute perfection.
I see. So, no mistakes at all then?
Not one. Everything went flawlessly up to the second act. We were on track for a perfect performance if it wasn't for what was happening backstage.
Wow, that press took a while.
Suddenly, I saw Mr. Concept being chased by Miss Pommel up the catwalk.
Hold it!
I'm half expecting him to say cakewalk at some point.
The victim? Weren't you watching the stage for any potential screw-ups from your actors?
Well, I had no choice but to look. Their obnoxiously loud hoof steps were distracting me from watching my play. It made me want to find whoever it was and scream at them, but it was during the show, so I had to keep quiet. I did complain to my stage manager, though. He was standing right next to me during both acts of the play.
His stage manager was with him. I suppose that gives him a solid alibi then. Were there any breaks during the play?
Well, you would have to ask the same manager
Yes,
if it's
one.
for it to be a solid alibi.
15-minute intermission between acts 1 and 2.
And what were you doing during that time?
Overseeing the stage hooves work. They had a lot to do to get ready for the second act, you see.
What did this work entail?
Well, they had to completely clear the stage of all the props, as well as any debris that would cause problems for the actors on stage, mainly tripping hazards.
What time was all of this happening?
The intermission started at around 8 o'clock and it ended at 8:15. The second act would have run from then until 9 o'clock if Overall hadn't been murdered.
Did you see Overall at all during the intermission?
Actually, I did. He came on stage briefly to discuss something with me, and then he left right before the intermission ended. He said he and his assistant had to start working on coating a new sheet of fabric and paint.
What did you two talk about?
That's a private matter. It has nothing to do with this case, I assure you.
You're not the one who gets to make that judgment, Mr. Playwright. Tell us what he wanted to talk to you about. Remember, you're under oath.
I wonder what they would swear on.
With the victim.
Like, what is considered the equivalent of a Bible?
Fabric, that's all.
The fabric?
Yes, I asked him to make a special fabric for the next show we were planning. He wanted to confirm the details with me.
That must be the special fabric he told Rarity about in his letters to her. Did you see him again after that?
Not until the chase, no.
Even though the two of them met, it would have been before the time of death. I seriously doubt anything could have been done to throw that off, given the state of the crime scene. I guess this means Playwright can't be the killer. And when did the chase occur again?
It was near the conclusion of the play. I'd say it was probably around 8:50 p.m.
The time of death is estimated to be between 8:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. This all lines up perfectly with the prosecution's case.
Which way did you look when you noticed the victim and my client?
To the right, of course.
So is the stagehouse direction thing still applied here?
Forget it. I'll just show you on the diagram. I was watching the stage from this side, and I looked in this direction to see what was causing all the ruckus.
So, you were facing the dressing room then?
Yes.
How exactly did you know it was them? Isn't the backstage dark during the play?
Yes, but not pitch black. I was able to make out their silhouettes. Not to mention, they were the only two ponies who were on that side of the stage.
On that side? Does that mean there was someone else on the other side of the stage?
Yes, the stage hooves I mentioned before. They were all positioned at the right, or rather left if we're going by house terms, wing of the stage.
How long have they been there?
They were there throughout the entire first act. During the intermission, they came on stage to clean and prepare for
I don't
act
remember
two.
presses being
Then
this long in
they
the
returned
Phoenix
to
Wright
the
games.
left wing for the second act.
In that case, what brought you to the conclusion that Coco was chasing overall?
Just gonna keep the
Couldn't it have been one of the stage hooves that left their post?
Objection! Sorry, human, but that's impossible. The stage hooves were all interrogated after the incident. They claimed that not a single one of them
Interrogated,
left the
jeez.
right wing during the second act.
If they were
I
being
assume
interrogated, that
your
means
next
that's implying that they
proposal is
were
going to be that all of the stage hooves were in league with one another and
holding,
plotted the murder
what's it
overall
called?
concept together.
in custody.
This seems unlikely. We better look for other possibilities. No, it isn't.
Pity. I was looking forward to putting you down even more.
But I would like Mr. Playwright to clarify exactly how he knew the figures he saw were Coco and Overall.
It was pretty dark, but I could make out a little of their faces. Miss Pommel looked a little scared yet determined. She was chasing a stallion who was running for help after all. As for Mr. Concept, he looked very angry.
Angry?
Hey, I don't blame him. He'd just been attacked by his partner, no less.
I'd be more scared than angry if some pony was attacking me.
Good point. Let's see what other little tidbits we can get out of Playwright. Maybe he'll let something slip that we can use later on.
I tried to ignore the disturbance they were causing, but then I saw Mr. Concept hanging right above center stage.
Hold it! There was a disturbance?
The hard hoof steps from them on the wooden floor were already bad enough. Mix that with a rattling catwalk and that loud clang. That's enough to ruin a play as it is. Not to mention that horrific hanging that happened not even a minute after they ran by.
How did you react to his death?
How do you think? Just like every pony else who saw it. Scared, horrified, distraught. My play was ruined, and one of my employees was killed.
I like how you put
I
your
wanted to
play
find the ruffian
first.
who would dare commit
Shows
such a
your
heinous
priorities.
act. So I went up to that catwalk, and I was shocked at what I found. I ran up to the catwalk immediately and saw Miss Pommel looking down from where Mr. Concept fell.
Hold it! And how did Miss Pommel appear when you saw her there?
She looked unfocused, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. As soon as I saw her, I could tell. Miss Pommel pushed Mr. Concept off the catwalk with the noose that had been prepared.
Wait a minute. You're claiming that the noose had been prepared before the chase?
Huh. Honestly, just look at the poster. You can see it right there as plain as day. I can see right through you, human. You were planning on asking, Why would the defendant have prepared a noose on the catwalk if she was never planning to go up there? Heh, an argument befitting a monkey such as yourself.
Well, this
I hate
monkey's
Blue
quick
Blood
on his
so
feet.
much.
So, this noose was already lying on the catwalk at the time of the crime.
That's right. It was supposed to be used during the climax of the play, but I certainly didn't plan for that kind of climax.
If it makes you feel better, it's a twist ending no one will ever forget. When exactly was
Okay,
this
Lenny.
noose prepared?
It was during
Law and
the
Order reference, by the way, guys.
That was another task the stage hooves had to complete before the second act, on top of clearing the catwalk of any debris. I can assure you it was done flawlessly. I went up there just as they were finishing to check it myself.
Just checking Discord super quick.
The noose was ready, and the catwalk was spotless. From that point on, the stage hooves were positioned on the left side of the stage, and I was on the right side with my stage manager.
Did the stage hooves report anyone going up to the catwalk during the second act?
I'm half expecting someone to say
Along with
cakewalk.
none of them leaving their positions, not a single one has made mention of seeing any pony go up or down the stairs, leading to the catwalk after the second act had begun, even after the murder had occurred.
So, it's a classic locker room murder then. Are you sure that you saw no one else while you were up there?
I'm certain. No one else was on that catwalk besides Miss Pummel and myself. She was standing right above where Mr. Concept was, you know, pushed down from.
Did you see anything else on the catwalk at all?
Well, there was a small pile of glitter and a glitter-stained fabric roll next to Miss Pummel, but I didn't pay them much attention, really.
Glitter-stained fabric roll. Huh. When we went to investigate the theater yesterday, we only saw the pile of glitter.
That would be because
I
the
don't
police
remember noticing
already
that, huh?
removed it for examination. I have it right here. It was found exactly where the witness said it was in his testimony.
I say, Prince. Do my eyes deceive me? Or does that fabric roll have several splinters sticking from it?
It does indeed, Your Honor. It would appear as though this roll has seen its fair share of use over the years.
Something about that fabric roll doesn't sit right with me.
It's actually a
And
shank.
what did you do after you found Miss Palmel?
Well, I had to make sure she didn't try to get away, so I stayed on the catwalk and called out to my stage manager standing below to cancel the play and call for the police. They arrived relatively quickly and arrested Miss Pummel right where I found her.
But how did she respond to you? You must have said something to her when you walked up there, right?
We didn't actually say a word to each other.
Huh?
Miss Pummel just started crying. A lot. I felt bad for her, but I was certain she was the one who murdered Overall Concept. So instead of asking her anything, I just kept watch and let her be until the police arrived.
Huh. A classic case of crocodile tears to garner sympathy. It's what any criminal would do to make themselves
That's what's called crocodile. I've long time I thought it was
Directing skills
crocodile
must have
tears,
helped you
not
make that
crocodile
flawless
tears.
judgment. Good on you, witness.
Thanks. Although I have to give her credit, she sure made them look real.
That's because they were real. She had just lost a friend, and the first thing you assume is that she's the one who murdered him? I'd be upset too, if I were in her shoes.
Hey, you got the
As you
ponyisms
can
right.
see, this witness has given a remarkably solid testimony. I do hope you'll spare us all any further embarrassment, human.
A solid testimony? Well, wait until you see the crack in it, as I'm about to split it wide open.
I kind of
Any
want to
closing
see what he
remarks,
does.
witness?
As much as I hate to believe it, Miss Pummel must have been the one who killed him. I can't see anything else that would suggest otherwise.
Objection! Are you absolutely sure about that last part, witness?
Yes, nothing else was out of place.
Well, if you ask me, that's far from true.
What? Are you calling me a liar?
I ain't calling you a
Not
truther.
necessarily. It could be that you simply failed to take something into account.
I'm sorry?
He failed to take something into account, you say? Humor me, then. What is it you claim the witness did not give proper consideration?
That would, of course, be this fabric roll.
The fabric roll.
Mr. Playwright, when you saw Coco and Overall run by, were either of them holding anything?
If they had been, I would have mentioned that in my testimony. I'm not in the habit of making such a simple mistake as that.
In that case, how does the prosecution intend to account for this?
Stop talking in riddles, defense. What is it that you're trying to say?
Playwright has stated that he did not see Miss Pommel or the victim holding the fabric roll during the chase. We've also established that no one else went up or down the catwalk from the time the second act started to when Playwright ascended to the catwalk after the murder. The testimonies of both Playwright and the stage hooves confirm this. If this is true, then where in the world did the fabric roll come from?
Oh, that's right!
What?
Okay. Where are you going with this, Phoenix?
Nice one, Phoenix.
Our first contradiction of the day. Now, let's start turning this case.
Objection! Is that all you've got, feeble lawyer?
What do you mean? This is a serious contradiction.
I have to agree with the defense here. How could the fabric roll end up on top of the catwalk if neither of the parties that went up there were carrying anything?
He's gonna say
I
someone put
believe
it in
I
their
have an
mouth.
Explanation, Your Honor.
Then please go right ahead, Prince Blueblood.
Witness, when you saw the victim being chased by Miss Pommel, how far ahead was he?
Well, he'd already started climbing up the catwalk, so pretty far. If I had looked a second later, I probably would have missed him entirely.
And there you have it.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Then allow me to explain in a manner that even a commoner such as yourself can follow. The fabric roll was brought up to the catwalk by overall concept. Since he was ahead of Miss Pommel, and was already partly up the stairs to the catwalk by the time the witness took a glance at them, it would make perfect sense as to why he would miss this detail.
That does seem to explain it. I imagine it would be rather difficult to see something like that given what was going on, especially in the dark.
I couldn't agree more, Your Honor.
Well, there goes that contradiction. Now what?
Don't give up yet, Phoenix.
Twilight?
I think we still have some room to maneuver. There's something that Blueblood hasn't established yet that demands an explanation.
You're right. Good thinking, Twilight. Prosecutor Blueblood.
Prince, please.
Prince Blueblood. There's still something vital to this case that you've yet to establish.
And that would be...
a clear motive. It's been mentioned before that the victim and the defendant were very close friends. What makes you think that my client, of all ponies, would want to kill him?
Oh, you really want to know? I'm afraid you'll regret asking that question, human lawyer.
Oh boy.
Your Honor.
Yes, Prince Blueblood?
The prosecution would like to call the defendant herself to the stand.
Uh-oh.
Objection! What are you planning to have her testify about?
Don't worry, it's nothing she'll need to plead the fifth for.
I plead the fifth.
Do is tell us about her living situation.
What? How
About
is
her living
that
situation?
relevant to this case?
Yeah, like what?
Prince Blueblood, I too fail to see how the defendant's living situation could possibly be of any use to us.
She live in like the ghetto or
Allow me
something?
to present this testimony, Your Honor. I guarantee I will be able to establish its relevance to the case at hand. Unless, of course,
Motion
the defense
denied.
has so little faith in his own client that he's frightened he'll lose if she testifies.
What? How dare...
If that's the case, I can request that this trial be brought to a swift resolution if you'd like. The prosecution has already made it abundantly clear that the defendant is the only one who had the opportunity to murder the victim.
I feel like you still needed to establish motive though.
Testimony and evidence will only serve to chip away at your fragile ego.
He has even more evidence. If we could see that, then perhaps we could use it to turn this
Here's the
trial
thing in American
around.
courts. The defense
But first,
and the prosecution
we're
need
gonna
to
have get through this
have
testimony.
as much evidence as
Well, Mr.
possible
Wright,
with each other,
you wish to
and
have your
some of the
client
evidence can be
testify?
admissible.
It could be very
That's
hard
what
to
what happens when you watch a lot of Law and Order,
if
guys.
Prince Blueblood can establish the relevance he is claiming.
Do note that should you choose not to have her testify, I will call for a ruling. This trial will end here and now.
Phoenix, what do we do? If we don't let Coco testify,
What
we're
was?
going to lose this trial.
Ow! What was that, bro?
Well then, we'll just have to allow it. It's not like we have much choice.
But what if she says something that makes things even worse for us? We can't afford to take any more damage to our case.
I know it's risky, but Blue Blood said he still had some more evidence against Coco. If we can force it out of him, we should still be able to save her.
Oh boy. It's a dice roll.
The defense agrees to the prosecution's request, Your Honor. Let's hear the defendant's testimony.
You've dug your own grave, human attorney.
Very well. Let the defendant take the stand.
Please state your name and
Seeing her so
occupation
sad breaks my
directly.
heart.
Defendant, quit your useless pouting and state your name and occupation.
Don't yell at her.
You dare yell at my friend, you pompous jerk!
Order! Order in the court! Will the pony in the audience please refrain from screaming at the prosecution?
Rarity.
Held in contempt.
Time.
My name is Coco Pomel, and I'm, or I guess, was the assistant costume designer at Bridalway Theater.
Now then, please testify about your current living arrangements in as much detail as you can manage.
Okay.
I feel like we're about to have a heartbreaking story. I'm not ready.
I hope this isn't going to be too much for her.
Don't break my heart, Coco, please.
Ever
You're too
since
sweet.
I started living on my own, I've been staying at various hotels across Manhattan. I've never been that wealthy, so that was all I could manage until I met Overall. He took me under
So they're
his
probably
wing as an
roommates. They were
apprentice,
roommates.
And even offered to let me live with him in his apartment. I brought as much joy to him as he did to me, it seems. I don't know what I'm going to do now that he's gone.
Dude.
What a tragic story. I think I might be tearing up.
Low-key
Don't be
same.
fooled, Your Honor. This is merely her psychological manipulation at work.
Get Athena.
She may appear to be grieving on the outside, but on the inside, she's deviously dancing in delight.
Oh, screw you. Screw you. Yes.
Objection sustained. Prince Blueblood, I will not allow comments like that in my court.
You commoners and your bleeding hearts.
Shut up.
Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Coco didn't mention any of this to
Witness.
me yesterday.
She's the defendant.
Wonder why not?
Judge. Ow.
No use
That's
getting
writing,
worked
everybody.
now. I just have to focus on how to get
Love
Coco
you, dude.
out of this.
Ever since I started living on my own, I've been staying at various hotels across Manhattan.
Hold it! You've never had a place to call your own.
No.
At least until season 7.
Everything I ever had I owed to those who were there to support me. Rarity, Overall, my parents, and even my old mentor.
Your old mentor. Is this the pony we're talking about yesterday? The one who always said it's every pony for themselves in the big city.
Yes, her. I quit being her assistant several months ago and took up a job at the theater, thanks to Rarity.
You don't sound too happy about that.
Oh no! Of course I'm grateful to Rarity for giving me such a huge opportunity!
But what?
It doesn't change the fact that I needed her to do it for me. Just once in my life, I'd like to achieve something that had been delivered to me on a silver platter. Something
I can appreciate that.
Played some sort of major role in.
I see. Then perhaps you...
Objection! I grow weary of your stalling tactics, human. You are her attorney, not her therapist. You're here to cross-examine the defendant.
I think life coach
so
would be
I suggest
better.
You get on with it.
Thing to say,
I wonder
Blue
how
Blood.
much effort it takes him to be that unpleasant.
Objection sustained. Please continue with the cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
I've never been that wealthy, so that was all I could manage until I met Overall.
Hold it! Did you really have so little money that you could barely afford a place to live?
Yes.
Probably costs more to
being an assistant to my mentor. She always
rent out hotels than
with the designs she sold.
What was that she was about to say?
than renting your own place.
And what about when you became an assistant costume designer at Bridal Way? Did you make more money then?
No, I was only an assistant, and an apprentice at that. The director, playwright, didn't trust my skills enough to give me any work worth paying much for.
Oh,
If it wasn't
damn.
for Overall, I'm sure I would have had to quit that job for a better paying one elsewhere.
So, Overall was able to support you and himself?
Yes, he was paid handsomely as the head costume designer of the biggest theater in Equestria. Not only that, his designs fetched pretty high prices outside the theater as well.
Was he really that well known?
Of course he was.
How did he get to be that famous?
Well, I can only tell you what I heard from him, but apparently, after his parents passed away a couple of years ago, he fell into a rather deep depression. They were his only family, and his only source of encouragement, you see. He thought about giving up on his dream to become a designer. However, he soon realized he'd be betraying his parents' hopes for him if he did, and so he poured himself into his work. He slaved day and night to create design after design, and finally, he decided to enter a contest, one that would essentially guarantee a successful career in design, should he win. And he did. Afterwards, his designs became well known all across Equestria, and he has since worked at Bridal Way Theater as his head costume designer.
I think we just established a motive for whoever the murderer is. It's someone who lost in that contest.
Overall must have been one
That's
strong
my
stallion
theory.
to not only overcome his parents' deaths, but also achieve his lifelong dream.
He was. If only he hadn't passed away himself, then maybe he could have helped me.
Well, maybe if you didn't kill him, he could have done so.
Badgering the witness.
You've no one to blame but yourself, Defendant.
Piss off.
I didn't!
Let's continue with the testimony, shall we?
Phoenix should have ejected right there.
Don't worry, Coco. I'm gonna get you out of this.
Coco's too precious. I hate you, Blue Blood. I hate you so much.
As an apprentice, and even offered to let me live with him in his apartment.
Hold it! Coco, how come you didn't tell me about any of this yesterday?
What do you mean?
Yesterday in the detention center, when I asked you about your relationship with Overall Concept, this is what you said to me.
Oh, it's nothing too serious, if that's what you're thinking. We were just good friends who like working together. He's even teaching me how to
Is the voice actress for Coco different?
Play.
I think it is.
At the time,
This one's
I
pretty
took that to mean
pretty
we're
good though.
nothing more than coworkers.
She's not bad.
Was I wrong when I made that assumption? Coco?
Coco, come on.
What?
Did you purposely mislead me into believing you two were connected by nothing more than your work?
Maybe.
Oh, Coco!
Because I was afraid that you wouldn't take my case otherwise.
What? Well, why would you think that?
Ugh, that angle!
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. What in the world is Coco?
It's like the
hiding
Miles
from me?
Edgeworth. Is that his Miles Edgeworth thing? Where he's like,
I brought as much joy to him as he did to me, it seems. I don't know what I'm going to do now that he's gone.
Hold it! That's what every pony keeps saying. That you two seem to get along so well. First Playwright, and then even Rarity said that you told her how happy Overall made you feel in your letters to her.
Yeah, we were really great friends. Everyone in the theater knew that.
And that's exactly why I'm so puzzled.
What do you mean?
You just said that you were afraid I wouldn't take your case if I knew the truth about your living arrangements prior to today. Coco, you must have known that I have heard nothing but positive comments about your relationship with the victim from those who knew you both. So, why would you think I would hesitate if I knew you two were living together?
Oh, come now, attorney. The answer is so obvious, I'm surprised it's taken you this long to realize it.
If you know the reason, why not just say so already? Were you trying to establish some sort of motive with this testimony? Let's hear it then.
Very well. I would like the court to take a look at this.
What is this, Prince Blueblood?
It's a document that recognizes both Coco Pamel and Overall Concept as domestic partners. The two entered into this partnership not long after they began living together.
And how is that relevant?
My attorney. Are you not aware of one of the primary aspects of a domestic partnership?
Sorry. It's, not my area of expertise, sadly.
And you call yourself a lawyer? What a joke. Very well, I shall explain. If a partner passes away intestate, that's without leaving behind a will for you uninformed commoners, when they are in a domestic partnership, as Mr. Concept did, their partner will receive all of their assets.
So it's like a life insurance thing, almost.
Oh, no!
Yes!
Oh,
now you finally get it. That is why this poor, underpaid assistant costume designer murdered one of the most wealthy and well-known designers in Equestria.
Coco, this ain't looking for you. Good for you, baby girl.
For herself.
Order in the court! I must admit, that certainly sounds like an incredibly plausible motive for murder.
It does.
Of course it is, Your Honor.
But we know she is innocent AF.
Coco, why did you hide this from me? How am I supposed to recover from this?
Phoenix, what are we supposed to do now?
It's only day one of the trial and you're already backed into a corner.
I don't know. And it definitely didn't help that Coco kept this hidden from us all this time. I had no way to prepare for this.
Well, you have to say something! Fight back! Otherwise, Coco will be found guilty!
Objection!
Dang, a one-day trial.
The defendant was being supported very well by the victim. She didn't need to steal his money.
Objection!
But then again, it goes back to the silver platter thing.
His money specifically?
What do you mean?
She's been living in hotels.
Recall what I said, attorney. She would inherit all of Overall Concept's assets. Assets, attorney. Like, for example, all of his fabrics and designs.
Oh, it would be.
The money she would inherit would be a nice bonus, and no doubt added fuel to the fire. But what Coco Pamel was really—
I was thinking more of
designs.
like their apartment.
Why would she need those?
During our investigation, we discovered that Miss Pamel had entered a fashion competition. The very same competition the victim entered a couple years ago.
The theory I had is being twisted now. No!
Just to clarify exactly what this contest is, it's a fashion competition where the winner receives the honor of being recognized by the most well-known designers in the industry.
This is not looking good.
While not particularly large, it is very prestigious, needing several background checks to even enter. Winning this contest is a big boost to one's career, as you can imagine.
What is it, Twilight?
What you got, Twilight?
I don't know. Something about that strikes me as important. I just can't put my hoof on it.
It goes without saying that a contest such as this would draw in several other keen fashion designers looking to rise to the top. With this much competition stacked against her, Miss Pamel was not confident enough in her abilities to win the contest.
And what brought you to that conclusion?
The defendant herself admitted as much. When we interrogated her about the contest, she told us that she did not feel confident about her chances of winning.
Then surely Overall would have helped Miss Pamel in making designs, or at least guided her.
Possibly. However, it's against the rules to seek direct help from some pony who has already won the contest. It's a preventative measure against copying previous victors' work with minor alterations.
But she was learning from him. I'm sure Miss Pommel had the ability to do just fine in the contest.
Her actual level of competence is irrelevant. What matters is how she felt about her prospects of winning. Besides,
He's kind of right though.
Attorney,
What do you mean?
Oh, he
there's
just
a
keeps.
special fabric the victim was making, as mentioned earlier by the previous witness. He was creating this fabric in secrecy for an upcoming play.
So why is this special fabric important in this case?
You should have connected the dots by now, considering that Miss Pommel and Mr. Concept lived together for a number of months. She naturally would know about this special fabric. And just like you said, Miss Pommel was learning from him, so this was to her advantage.
You're really accusing Miss Pommel of cheating in this contest?
Cheating
She ain't Tom
in the
Brady.
contest and betraying overall Concept's trust.
And that's why...
Looks like you finally realized it. That is exactly why the defendant murdered overall Concept. It was her chance at stealing his designs and passing them off as her own.
Oh boy.
Twilight, if you have something to say, then by all means, say it.
Please do,
On the
Twy.
night of the murder, the victim was working on that very fabric. This, too, we heard from Mr. Playwright. That was probably what set the defendant off. Upon seeing the fabric, she made up her mind, once and for all, to murder the victim. She attacked him in the dressing room, but failed to land a strike. The victim fled out of the room with a fabric roll in his mouth, likely taken for the purposes of self-defense, with Miss Pommel hot on his trail. The two were spotted by Mr. Playwright as they made their way up the stairs to the catwalk. Finally, as overall Concept reached the top, he tripped, dropping the fabric roll. The defendant caught up to him, grabbed the roll, and proceeded to knock him unconscious. Afterwards, she wrapped the rope that was laying on the catwalk around the victim's neck and threw him over the edge of the rail, finally killing him.
That angle is so uncanny. Twilight, you're really thinking hard. Come on, baby girl.
If it weren't
Say it
for
now,
Mr.
baby.
Playwright immediately coming up the catwalk after the murder, she may have gotten away with it. But she can't hide from her crime now, can she, Mr. Wright?
He's got you back in the corner,
And
Phoenix.
to
Come on, dude.
think
You or
this
Twilight, come on.
incredibly selfless stallion was planning on proposing to Coco.
Selfless stallion?
and she
Hello, pot. This is
stole
Kettle.
her life away because of her own selfish desires.
Propose?
Prince Blueblood? What do you mean?
Elaborate,
During
please.
our inquiries regarding overall Concept and Miss Pommel's relationship, many ponies employed at Bridalway Theater commented on how much he cared about her. Apparently,
No.
he often said that being together with her made him even happier than when his parents were still alive. They mentioned that he was going to propose next week, after another play. He even ordered this custom ring to give to her. I have it right here, Your Honor. The police found it while they were investigating his apartment.
They had to warn him for that, right? Oh my god.
He was going to propose to me?
This shows just how cruel you really are. You took
You.
advantage of an
You.
innocent stallion's kindness for your own selfish gains. Killed him in the process. Mayors like you are corrupting our good-natured society of Equestria. It's despicable. Don't you agree, ponies of the gallery?
No, that's the gallery.
Something like that.
After everything that kind stallion did for her.
I never thought ponies could be so evil.
Order! Order in the court! My word. Could someone who looks so adorable really be so cruel?
Wait until
Looks
season
are
8.
Deceiving. And what better example of that than this heartless, soulless excuse of a mayor?
How dare you spew such poisonous lies! Coco would never do that to a stallion who cared about her. Why, I ought to come over there and tear your
She's gonna be held in
coat out.
contempt of court.
Whoever that is out there, please refrain from shouting, or else you will be removed from the court!
Rarity, I get that you don't like this guy, but I need you to keep quiet if I'm going to properly help Coco.
He's got you back in the corner, bro.
Anything you want to say to counter my claims? Or have you decided that you've suffered enough humiliation?
My God, this is
on.
rough.
There's gotta be something I can say to this. But he's absolutely tarnished Coco's image to the rest of the court. Where am I even supposed to
The
begin
court of public
this
opinion,
uphill
she's
battle?
guilty.
It seems as if the defense has no further objections. In that case, I think it's about time for me to pass my verdict.
Oh God.
Any closing remarks, Prince
There's gotta be
Blueblood?
more. There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more.
You human attorney. You should have saved yourself from
Objection to
putting on a
badgering?
pathetic display when you had the chance. Your Honor, please proceed.
No! I can't let it end like this!
Very well.
No.
This court finds
Twilight,
the
come on.
defendant
Twilight,
Coco
Twilight, Twilight,
Pamel.
Twilight.
Objection!
Thank you, God.
Who was that?
It was me, Your Honor.
Twilight?
Prosecutor Blueblood, I want you to clarify something.
Third best
for
pony.
me.
Prince,
Blueblood, you said Cleo saw a special fabric on the night of the murder, and that's what prompted her to go through with her plan to kill Overall.
excuse me? You are to address me as...
Is that what you're claiming or not?
Yes, that is what I am claiming. What of it?
Can you please show us the fabric you're talking about?
Surely you must have seen it for yourselves. It was left sitting in the dressing room. But if you insist on seeing it again, I had it brought into court today. Here it is. Are you happy?
All right, more
Just
evidence
as I
submitted to
thought.
evidence.
What is that
That was
supposed to
redundant.
mean?
I believe Mr. Wright can answer that for me.
Of course. Thanks, Twilight. What she means, Prince Blueblood, is that the fabric you presented to the court is not the special fabric that Overall made.
What? No, it has to be. Playwright confirmed it when we asked him. This fabric is what Overall was commissioned to make for the theater.
Then let me rephrase my response. True, that is indeed the special fabric Overall was working on for the theater that night. However, the fabric that you presented is currently incomplete!
What?
Oh, that's a pretty good Chakras animation. I like that.
Order! Order! Prince Blueblood, what is the meaning of this? I find it hard to believe that the defendant would have murdered the victim for a roll of incomplete fabric.
Then that's it. She must not have known it was incomplete.
Objection! How is that possible? She and the victim not only worked together, but they lived together. There's no way she wouldn't have known what the fabric was supposed to look like.
Well, maybe she thought she could finish the fabric on her own.
Okay, let's test that theory then, shall we? Mr. Playwright.
Yes?
I recall you said something in your testimony earlier regarding the fabric Overall was working on that night.
He came on stage briefly to discuss something with me, and then he left right before the intermission ended.
Okay,
He
okay.
and his assistant had to start working on coating a new sheet of fabric in paint.
If you don't mind me asking, what exactly was this paint?
Fluorescent paint. The fabric was supposed to be covered in both that paint and a touch of glitter.
And what does that prove? Miss Pamel would have known that. You said so yourself.
It's not about whether or not she would have known about it, but whether or not she could gain access to it.
What do you mean? She was going to inherit all of Overall's assets. The fluorescent paint and glitter would have been included in that as well.
True. She would have inherited whatever Overall had left. But what about after she ran out?
What?
This fabric was meant to be used in the next play at Bridalway Theater. Naturally, that means Coco would have had to make more if she intended on using it in the contest. And making more fabric means buying more paint.
And how is that an issue? She would have inherited all of Overall's money. Buying a few cans of paint would have been nothing.
Not this paint, I'm afraid.
Special order,
Explain
right?
yourself.
Yesterday, when we were investigating the theater, Rarity, one of the most fashion-forward ponies in Equestria, had a few things to say about this fluorescent paint.
Fluorescent paint? Such a thing exists? Where can I get this paint?
Okay. Bet.
I still wonder where he got this paint. It must have been awfully expensive, especially since he used so much of it.
If Rarity hadn't even heard of the paint, let alone considered it to be cheap, then I doubt this paint is anywhere near as accessible or affordable as regular paint. Even if Coco were able to find and buy some, do you really think she'd be able to do so before the contest deadline? Or spend that much of her newly earned money on a chance that the fabric would be good enough to win a contest? If she lost, she'd have a very hard time making that money back.
Objection! If you look at the fabric by itself, it's already relatively nice to look at. Even without all the bells and whistles the victim added to it, she could have just entered the base fabric itself into the contest.
Maybe so. But you can't deny that this evidence blows a hole in your theory that Coco killed overall for this fabric.
Mr. Wright has a point, Prince Blueblood. The motive you proposed isn't very persuasive given this new information. Do you have anything else against the defendant that proves she committed this crime?
Of course, Your Honor. I have yet to produce the most damaging piece of evidence to this court.
It's gonna be a gun.
So?
I'm kidding.
So,
How funny would it be if he just pulls out? It's this piece right here, motherfucker.
Indeed, Your Honor. And I'll have Playwright explain what I mean.
Huh? Me?
You're recalling another
When you
witness?
found Miss
Well, the same
Pamela
witness?
on the catwalk that night,
He's still
did
under
you
oath, though,
notice
right?
Anything odd
He should
about
be.
her?
Well, as I said earlier, she seemed rather dazed.
And what about her hooves? Did you notice anything in particular about them?
Oh, that's right!
What is it, witness?
Miss Pommel's forehooves. When I discovered her on top of the catwalk, they were covered in glitter.
What?
The defendant's forehooves were covered in glitter? What does this mean?
It means she's Lady Gaga.
Explain, Your Honor. Recall that Miss Pamel and Mr. Concept were working in the dressing room prior to the crime. During the course of their work, the defendant must have gotten her hooves covered in glitter.
Oh! So the glitter marks on the fabric roll?
Precisely, Your Honor. They were left behind by Miss Pamel when she used it to hit the victim.
No. This can't be.
And back to
And
recording
now
again.
the prosecution would like to submit our final piece of evidence. The noose.
The noose itself?
The court is no doubt aware of the fact that this is the noose used to hang the victim to death. Though I have yet to reveal a crucial detail concerning this noose. We have discovered that, just like the fabric roll, there are traces of glitter on it.
Traces of glitter.
Considering that there is only one conscious pony on the catwalk that could have committed the crime, the only logical inference is that Miss Pamel is the culprit. But
Oh,
knowing that she
jeez.
had glitter left on her hooves, and that there was glitter on both the fabric roll and the noose, it has become crystal clear that Miss Pamel was the one who knocked the victim out, wrapped the noose around his neck, and killed him.
Wrapped up in a nice little bow
That
once again.
seems
Jeez.
to be very decisive evidence. The one who touched the rope was Miss Pamel herself.
Try like news of weapon was okay.
Of course.
Stated all,
There's
everything
no
already.
other way
You-
it could be any pony else. I presume a guilty verdict is in order, Your Honor?
It would seem that way.
Objection! But
What
what
you got,
about the
Phoenix?
motive? It's unlikely that Coco would have killed for a fabric that she had no reliable way of reproducing.
You're still obsessing over that? Perhaps she merely killed him for his other designs, or maybe just his money. The
Speculation.
defendant has a laundry list of potential motives, attorney. That
Speculation.
fact doesn't disappear by virtue of you pointing out that the completed version of the fabric was not at the theater that night, you know. Besides, who can say for certain what was going through that demented pony's head that night?
Hey, she's not
For
demented.
all we know,
You're
the
demented, Chief.
defendant may have a motive beyond our wildest imaginations. What matters, though, is that all of the evidence points to her as the one responsible for this crime. The glitter on her hooves, the fabric roll, the noose itself, and being found at the scene with no chance that any pony else had slipped away unnoticed. All of it points to one simple conclusion. Coco Pamel murdered
I can't get over that.
in cold blood.
Love you. Oh, so. I mean, no disrespect to Al, of course.
Order! Order in the court! Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor.
Prince Blueblood has presented a very convincing case, even if the motive is somewhat unclear at the moment. I'm afraid if you have nothing further to add, then I will have no choice but to end the trial. This is your last chance, Mr. Wright. Do you have anything else to present to this court to counter the prosecution's claims?
Of course he doesn't. If he did, he would have presented it a long time ago.
This is it.
Come on, Phoenix.
I mess up here, the trial's over. I need to present something that casts significant doubt over Blueblood's claims.
Check-in time.
I believe he may have unintentionally given me just the hint I needed. Your Honor, I do indeed have something to present to the court at this time.
What? How could you possibly?
Now, Prince Blueblood. Save your surprise for after you've seen what it is Mr. Wright has to present. Mr. Wright, please present this piece of evidence to the court.
Yes, Your Honor. Take that!
Is that a torn piece of fabric?
Really? That's it? That's your big
Where are you
piece
going with
of
this, Phoenix?
evidence?
Perhaps not in terms of its physical size, but certainly in the whole it'll create in your argument.
Cease your smug little remarks and explain, human.
You're the last pony I want to hear that from, Blueblood. Very well. We found this ripped piece of fabric during our investigation of the stage. It was right below the center of the catwalk.
I fail to understand how this relates to anything discussed thus far.
Well, how about we let the one who requested the fabric explain it to us then?
Huh? Me?
Playwright, you were the one who asked overall concept to make this fabric, correct?
Yes, we needed it for our next play.
For your next play, meaning none of the costumes for the play on the night of the murder used this fabric?
That is correct.
Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright?
I think I see where they're
It's
going with
simple,
it, but I
Your
want
Honor.
to
If
watch
the
it play
fabric
out.
wasn't being used on the night of the crime, then why did we find a piece of it on the stage afterwards?
Uh-huh.
Objection!
Okay.
That
sort of
piece
saw it coming
fabric
there.
could have found its way there at any point. It's impossible for you to prove when exactly it wound up there.
Objection! I may not be able to prove the exact time it ended up on stage, but I can definitely prove it was after the play's intermission.
How?
Recall Playwright's testimony for a moment. He had this to say about what was happening on stage during the 15-minute intermission.
Well, they had to completely clear the stage of all the props, as well as any debris that would cause
okay.
problems for the actors
That
on
would
stage.
be the thing that
Mainly
him and
tripping
overall
hazards.
concept are talking about. Not clearing off the stage. Okay,
The
that makes
stages
sense.
had to clear the stage. No!
If this piece of fabric had been on stage before intermission, it would have been cleared off by the time the second act had begun. After all, there's no way Playwright would have allowed for anything less. Am I right, witness?
Absolutely. It's out of the question that I would have let the play continue if something like this was still on stage. I mean, it could have distracted the audience or ruined the concentration of one of the performers.
So you see, Prince Blueblood, there's no way this piece of fabric was on the stage before the intermission.
Objection! The
That's
victim
awesome.
came on stage during the intermission to talk to Playwright about the fabric. It's possible he could have accidentally dropped that piece on the stage then, and it simply went unnoticed because the stage had already been cleaned.
Objection! Sorry, but that's also impossible.
Because it could have distracted one of the
Why is
performers?
that?
Let's go back to Playwright's testimony one more time.
He came on stage briefly to discuss something with me, and then he left right before the intermission ended. He said he and his assistant had to start working on coating a new sheet of fabric and paint.
If you examine this fabric closely, you'll notice that it's covered in glitter. Not only that, but if we were to turn off the lights in this courtroom, I'm sure you'll realize that it's also covered in fluorescent paint. However, according to Playwright, Overall didn't start covering his fabric in paint until after he had come on stage.
Then, what does this mean, Mr. Wright?
This piece of fabric proves two things. The first is that someone brought it up to the catwalk during the second act of the play.
The catwalk?
And what ridiculous train of logic are we meant to board to arrive at that conclusion?
Well, there's simply no other way for it to have landed on the stage, right? No one could have brought it to the stage directly without being seen, so the only conceivable option must be that it came from above.
Makes sense.
Fine. And what's the second thing that piece of fabric supposedly proves?
Isn't it obvious? It proves that at the theater that night, there existed at least one sheet of overall special fabric that had been completed.
That's absurd!
But how is that possible? I thought the police only found one sheet of the fabric, and it was the incomplete version.
Which can only mean that the other sheet was stolen from the theater that night. A third party must have escaped with it.
There we go.
Objection! You are either desperate beyond belief, or have gone completely insane, human attorney. There's no way a third party could exist.
Playwright.
Well then, why don't you explain what this means then? This piece of fabric clearly proves that the completed fabric was there at the theater that night.
My
So why
adrenaline is
didn't
like
the
really
police
pumping right
grab it?
now. I'm actually excited.
Simple. The defendant had hidden it prior to the crime. She must have been planning to steal the one sheet of fabric all along. When Overall Concept saw that it was missing, that's when Coco attacked him. I suspect she hid it in a spot where none of us could even find it, which is why it is still missing even now.
That's impossible. The discovery of a piece of fabric on stage proves that it was out in the open somewhere. The stage was cleared in preparation for Act 2. The fabric must have been taken either on or above the stage during the second act of the play. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this piece with us today. In fact, Playwright, I need you to clarify something for me.
And what would that be?
After the crime occurred, was there someone watching the stage at all times?
Yes,
Stage
there
off.
would always be some pony either on or watching the stage. The fabric would have been noticed if it was brought on stage at any given moment.
That settles it then. This indicates that the fabric had to have gone up the catwalk once the second act started, which means Coco couldn't have hidden the fabric beforehand. It must have gotten torn somehow, and a piece fell to the stage below.
Objection! You've forgotten that if some pony went up that catwalk with that fabric during the second act, they would have been spotted holding it by Playwright or the stage hoops on the right wing of the stage. If that fabric glows in the dark, then it should have been almost impossible to miss.
That's right, though.
The theater staff have said anything about seeing some pony carrying a glowing sheet of fabric up the catwalk.
He's right. Even if you take the stage hooves out of the picture, Playwright definitely would have noticed if the victim had been carrying that fabric. Then I'll propose another theory.
Another theory?
Playwright said in his testimony he only got a small glimpse of Overall running up the stairs.
Correct. And what of it?
Well, what if there was some pony ahead of Overall? Then Playwright wouldn't have been able to see them, meaning a third party could have been involved from the start.
Oh, interesting.
Oh please, like that's even possible.
What do you mean?
If this third pony exists, then how did Miss Pamel not see them? If
She was knocked out.
following Mr. Concept the entire time, There's no way the defendant
She was knocked out when she came to. She was looking
at
at, trying to go after.
At the very least, she
overall.
should have seen them on the catwalk. Yet, has she mentioned such a thing? No. So, how do you explain that, attorney?
Actually, it's quite simple.
Simple? This should be good.
When I spoke to Miss Pommel, she told me that she had been suffering from memory loss and headaches.
There it is.
I believe it's possible that during the crime, she was knocked unconscious by this third party, and the headaches and memory loss was the side effect from her being knocked unconscious.
Do you really expect me to believe the nonsense you're spouting? You do realize that you're speaking for the defendant, right? She's obviously lying to save her own flank. Even if she were hit on the head hard enough to leave a bruise, what makes you think that this incident happened that night and not the day before? And what kind of weapon would this mystery third party have used to knock her out? I demand you show evidence that she was struck on the head the night of the murder.
Gladly. Here it is. Take that!
Is it gonna be the?
Rickroll?
Yep.
And how does this prove anything?
Before the trial started, we noticed that there was some glitter stuck in her mane. I believe this is the result of being struck by the fabric roll.
How in Equestria would that result in glitter getting stuck in her mane? Splinters and wood chips, maybe, but certainly not glitter.
Glitter gets everywhere,
As you
dude.
pointed out, there are traces of glitter on the roll. What if some of it ended up in Coco's mane as a result of getting hit with it?
Preposterous. The glitter on that roll came from when the defendant held it in her hooves to attack the victim.
Can you prove that that's the exact scenario that caused the glitter to end up on the roll?
Well, no. But how else could it have gotten there?
Let's stop and think about where this roll came from. The dressing room. I think it's very likely that the roll could have gotten covered in glitter there.
What do you mean, Mr. Wright?
Here's what I think. Coco and Overall were working in the dressing room prior to the crime. During the course of their work, they must have scattered glitter around the table, where this roll may have been sitting. In fact, yesterday while I investigated the dressing room, I found a can of glitter that clearly showed signs of spillage, sitting right next to the other roll of fabric. After this third party stole the sheet of fabric, they were spotted and ran off. Overall must have grabbed the nearby fabric roll as he gave chase, likely hoping to use it to stop the thief. However, once he reached the top of the catwalk, he tripped and dropped the roll. The thief took advantage of this and used the roll to knock out both Overall and Coco, who had followed her teacher up the catwalk in pursuit of the thief.
That sounds absolutely ludicrous.
Can you deny the possibility?
With ease. First off, even if
Followed her
this
teacher.
third party managed to make it all
I think
the
you
way
might
up
have
to
just
the
accidentally
catwalk
spoiled
without
something
being
there,
spotted
Al.
by Playwright, how would they
'Cause I have a
manage to get
theory
down
now
without
that
being
it's
seen by the stage host in the lesson
Siri.
room? Not to mention, if the fabric roll left glitter in Coco's mane, then why didn't it also leave glitter in Overall's mane when he was knocked unconscious?
Well, you see, that's...
You see, Mr. Wright?
Damn.
Your theory makes absolutely no sense. It's inconceivable that a third party could exist, because there's no way they could have escaped without being spotted by Playwright or the stage hooves.
He's right. How am I supposed to prove that the third party was able to get away when the left side of the stage was being watched? And I don't even know where to begin with Overall's mane.
Excuse me, if I may interject.
Is there something on your mind, witness?
Yes, I'd like to make a confession, Your Honor.
I was the one that killed him.
I'd like to amend my statement regarding when I went up to the catwalk. I actually didn't go up immediately.
What?
Perjury. Perjury.
Witness? What are you doing?
Please, explain what you mean.
It's as I say, Your Honor. I did not go up to the catwalk immediately after seeing the hanging. Before I went up to investigate, I called over my stage hooves from the right wing and my actors from the stage. I ordered them to attend to the panicking audience and try to calm them down. And I asked my stage manager to inform the police of what happened. After a good 5 minutes of giving my staff instructions, that was when I decided to go up to the catwalk.
Witness! Why didn't you share this time discrepancy earlier? This is crucial information!
It's It's not as if I intentionally wanted to withhold this information. Prince Blueblood told me not to share it because he said it was irrelevant information.
Suppressing information.
Why, you?
Disbarred.
Blueblood, you knew about this information?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. But I did not believe it to be important enough to address.
Yeah, right. You withheld this information because you knew it was detrimental to your case.
To think that I actually blamed Miss Pommel for this heinous crime. But now it's possible that she's innocent, isn't it? I'll make sure to tell everything that I know from this point on. I promise.
Perjury still.
As much as I would have appreciated it if you did that from the beginning, I am glad that you are willing to tell us everything this time.
Perjury charge, though. Come on. Perjury. Perjury. We're going to forgive him, aren't we?
Ruined my perfect case.
After hearing what could be the truth, this is nowhere near perfection. And I should know. I've been striving for it all my life, only to come up short every time. But at least I can acknowledge that I can get as close to it as possible.
This information could be just what I need to move forward. Your Honor, we now know that there was no one near the left side of the catwalk after the murder, and that there was a 5-minute gap between the hanging and playwright going up the catwalk. The possibility of a third party being involved is undeniable.
Yes, I do believe.
I'd say it's more plausible than undeniable, really.
Objection! No, there's still a flaw in that claim.
What flaw?
I'll have you know the police interrogated every member of the theater and all 5,000 attendees in the audience. If this pony really escaped with the fabric, then why was their absence not discovered during the course of the investigation?
Well, the thief in question must have been someone who was not a part of the audience or the theater's staff.
Oh, really? And how did they get in?
Through here. Take that!
The back
exit?
door?
Precisely, Your Honor.
Makes sense.
They must have come through the back door of the theater without purchasing a ticket. I'm willing to bet that's also how they left the theater after they stole the fabric.
Stop suggesting that this third party exists! I demand proof, filthy human! Proof! Give me something that truly convinces me that some pony else was here that night.
You should be careful what you wish for, Prince Blueblood.
Please, just show us the evidence already, Mr. Wright.
Get on with it!
My beard is quivering in anticipation.
Mine too.
Here's the proof, Your Honor. Take that!
Is it rarity?
Picture?
Oh.
Of
course.
Take a
Hoofprints.
closer look, and you'll find out.
I kind of feel stupid for saying rarity.
Are those
As much as I say I like the Phoenix Wright games, I never said I was good at them.
Order! Order! What a turn of events! Glowing hoofprints left behind at the crime scene?
It's not just the fact they exist, it's their path that tells a bigger story.
Please explain, Mr. Wright.
The hoofprints started at the dressing room, right where we're proposing that this chase started. The hoofprints then lead up to the catwalk,
got a little ways to
just
go,
like
good
how
lord.
playwright described in his eyewitness account of the chase. And finally, they lead down from the right side of the catwalk and out the back door of the theater. This path was not taken by anyone else involved in this crime. The existence of these hoof marks without a doubt proves that a third pony was there that night.
Objection! What kind of preposterous game are you trying to play, human? The police did not find any hoofprints of the sort during their investigation.
But they found them
This
during
has to be
another
false
look.
evidence. The court cannot accept this.
It's not false evidence. If it was found, like this is like the investigation can still technically go on during the trial, technically speaking.
Prince Blueblood, that is an extraordinary
Then again,
accusation.
my
I've known Mr. Wright
information
for
on law
years,
mostly comes from
and I
Law
had
and
the
Order, which is fiction.
misfortune of mistaking him for a crook once before, and thankfully I was proven wrong. You're going to need some serious evidence to back up your claim if you continue with this assertion. Otherwise, I will hold you in contempt of court.
You could also declare a mistrial.
Whoa, that was out of nowhere. The judge really just stood up for me against the prosecution.
actually quite flattered.
You see, it's just that the police didn't see these hoof prints during their investigation.
I believe the explanation for that is quite simple. Did the police ever turn off the lights during their investigation?
Of course not. Why would they?
And there you have it. The reason why the police couldn't see the hoof prints is because the only way to see them is by turning off the lights.
In that case, shouldn't the witness have been able to see them when he went up to the catwalk?
Well, why don't we ask him? Playwright, were these hoof prints on the catwalk prior to the second act?
No, there were no hoof prints to be found before the second act. The catwalk was dark during preparation, so they would have been impossible to miss.
And what about when he went up there after the murder? Did you see them then?
No, I did not.
Then the answer is obvious. The hoof prints were made after the incident, meaning that these glowing hoof prints have no relevance to this case.
Actually, I think they do.
What?
Care to explain, witness?
Yes, it's true that I didn't see the fluorescent hoof prints after the murder, but there was a good reason why.
There's a dead body. You kind of, your attention is kind of on that.
Lights were on.
Oh, never mind.
Safety lights?
The lights hanging above the catwalk. They seemed to be on the fritz yesterday. That's how we found those hoof prints in the first place.
Wait a minute. Did you see that?
See what?
There's something glowing on the floor. Twilight, could you turn off the lights for a second?
Yeah, okay.
There!
Huh? They're hoof prints. And they're glowing.
Impossible.
Oh, right! Yes, we've been meaning to fix that issue, but I'm always getting so caught up in the plays we're performing that I guess I tend to forget about those sort of things. The pulley system isn't in the greatest condition either, which is why we...
So not really striving for perfection, are you there, playwright?
Not exactly the pinnacle of safety, those lights. Especially not with a director like this around.
They're usually off during performances, as well as during the second act. But when I went up after what had befallen, they were switched on, which means the hoof prints wouldn't have shown up.
But what about the rest of the backstage area? Even if you somehow explained why you weren't able to see the glowing hoof prints on the catwalk, why weren't the rest of the hoof prints discovered? If it was dark there, they should have been seen.
That'd be because I turned the backstage lights on as well.
So you see, Prince Blueblood? These hoof prints could very well be connected to this case.
Then it is clear that these hoof prints belong to Miss Pamel.
No, they belong to the third party.
She must have gotten her hooves wet with paint from working in the dressing room and chased the victim while her hooves were still wet. He likely turned on the safety lights when he fled so he could see where he was going.
But then you can also make the same argument that they are the other guys too.
Right above where Overall was hanged. Are you suggesting that she descended from the catwalk and then climbed back up?
She certainly had time to do so. After all, Playwright didn't immediately go up to the catwalk, now did he?
Damn it! Now he's using my own argument against me. Do you have proof that these prints even belong to Coco?
Process of elimination, attorney. It couldn't have been any pony else. It certainly wasn't the victim.
Turn off the lights and we can see if there's paint on her hooves.
His hooves don't have any paint on them. And this third party you claim was there would have had no way to get their hooves dirty with the paint. So it could only be Miss Pamel.
Turn off the lights and see if her hooves are...
Prove that those prints could be hers.
I beg your pardon?
I certainly would like to see that, Mr. Wright. Tell me, how do you...
The opposite of that Kanye West song. Turn off the lights in here, baby.
With this, Your Honor. Take that!
Is that
or a fluorescent
yes, Your Honor.
light?
But not just any flashlight. A
forensic flashlight, excuse me.
This has the ability to show traces of fluorescent paint without needing to turn off the lights. If there are no traces
someone just texted me on Discord. 1 second.
That means Coco couldn't
I'm still paying attention though, don't worry.
Very well.
Okay.
I permit the use of the flashlight.
Miss Pamel.
Oh, yes?
If I may, I'd like to run this forensic flashlight on your hooves.
Yes, of course.
We're going to get an animation, or...
Just as I thought. No traces of fluorescent paint at all. This means
This is
Coco
wrong.
couldn't have been the one to leave those prints behind.
Objection! You do realize she could have just washed her hooves to remove the paint?
When she was arrested, she didn't have time to clean.
Even if she wanted to, she wouldn't have been able to. The defendant had no opportunity to wash them after she was caught by Playwright and arrested.
Are you certain?
Yes.
Prince Blueblood?
Your Honor, allow me to let you in on a little something about the night of the crime. It was raining.
Raining?
Aw,
For a
damn
second.
it.
If Miss Pamel went out the back door with her hooves covered in this paint, then it could have all been easily washed off in the rain.
But there was still glitter on her mane and hooves. The rain would have washed those out as well.
Okay.
It seems as if you've forgotten this little bit of testimony from Playwright.
Well, there was a small pile of glitter and a glitter-stained fabric roll next to Miss Pommel, but I didn't pay them much attention, really.
The glitter in Miss Pomel's mane and on her hooves could have been added after returning to the catwalk. She could have seen the pile of glitter left lying there, put some of it on her mane and hooves, and then simply touched the fabric roll to leave glitter marks on it.
Do you even know what you're saying right now? You're talking as if she replanted the glitter on herself on purpose. Why would she want to frame herself for the crime?
To give the illusion that a third party exists, of course.
What?
Yes, it's
It
all
makes
coming
sense,
together
but
now.
it doesn't.
After
It's
cleaning
weird.
herself in the rain, Miss Pommel realized that she would have been caught red-hoofed because of all of the remaining evidence pointing to her. So, making the best of a bad situation, she improvised, fabricating her own evidence to make it appear as if she had been framed.
Order in the court! Prince Blueblood, are you accusing the defendant of tampering with the crime scene?
Of course I am, Your Honor.
Objection! That's ridiculous! Why would my client decide to fabricate evidence? If she washed herself off in the rain, then that would already make her look innocent. What would compel her to put herself at risk and go as far to mess with the crime scene?
I've already said it multiple times. It's to create the illusion of a third party. The defendant was smart enough to foresee that she would be the initial suspect in this murder, so she did everything she could to fabricate evidence in order to tell a story of a third party escaping the scene after knocking her out and causing her to lose her memory.
That's insane!
It really is.
Blueblood, I am honestly having some difficulty believing all of this to be possible. Though, admittedly, I'm rather curious as to what led you to this conclusion.
Your Honor, I am confident another theory can demonstrate to the court why I am right.
Another theory? Please explain.
Oh boy, here we go.
Allow me to run through my theory of the events after the murder had been committed. First, the defendant went down from the catwalk and outside to wash her hooves. Next, she retrieved the fabric from where she had initially hidden it. Heading back outside, she found a secure hiding spot where it wouldn't be found by the police. As she was hiding the fabric, she tore off a piece of it as part of her ploy to create misleading evidence. Lastly, she ran back up to the catwalk and covered her hooves in glitter, while also leaving some traces of it in her mane. She then dropped the piece of fabric off the catwalk and left glitter marks on the fabric roll. All of this was done to fool us into thinking that a third party had stolen the fabric, ran up the catwalk, killed the victim, and hit her on the head before escaping. Don't you see, human? You've fallen right into her trap.
Not looking good, Chief.
This is preposterous! You're truly saying that the defendant forged evidence to make herself look innocent?
Indeed I am, Your Honor. I can see right through her little tricks. And this filthy human fell for it.
She ain't got no tricks, though.
There has to be something I'm missing.
Something that proves Coco didn't do anything that Blue Blood is suggesting.
What you got, Swy?
Twilight?
Huh?
Come on,
You've been
Swy Pie.
quiet
What
for
you
a
got?
while now. Have you thought of something?
Sort of.
Well, do you think it'll get us out of this situation?
Well,
Situation.
I think so.
Really? What is it?
Think about where the paint came from.
You mean
We don't know.
dressing room?
Oh, okay.
Yes. You said that a third party could have also been in the dressing room to steal the fabric.
That's what I suggested.
Let's assume what you said is true. If they were just trying to get the fabric, then how would their hooves get wet with the paint? And we can't say that it was from the paint can since there were no spills anywhere when we went in the dressing room.
So, what do you think could have happened?
Do you remember what Playwright said?
The intermission started at around 8 o'clock and it ended at 8:15. The second act would have run from then until 9 o'clock if Overall hadn't been murdered.
Did you see Overall at all during the intermission?
Actually, I did. He came on stage briefly to discuss something with me, and then he left right before the intermission ended. He said he and his assistant had to start working on coating a new sheet of fabric and paint.
If we consider that, and recall what Athena said during the investigation...
Athena, how long does it take for fluorescent paint to dry?
According to Junie, it takes about an hour.
If Overall and Coco started coating the fabric and paint during the intermission, which lasted from 8 o'clock to 8:15, and the murder occurred at 8:50...
That means that the sheet of fabric Coco and Overall were working on was still drying when the crime occurred. That's how the third party could have left those hoof prints.
Not just the hoof prints. There's something else.
Something else?
Another thing?
You claim Coco was knocked out from being hit with the fabric roll, right?
Yeah.
Right.
She
Where are you going with
still
this,
has
Spy?
glitter stuck on there from that night. That doesn't explain why there are no traces in Overall's mane, though.
Exactly. The only traces of glitter he had were on his forehooves.
So, what are you suggesting? That this third party hit Coco on the head with the fabric roll and then hit him with something else?
If somebody else was indeed present at the crime scene, I think it's safe to assume that they must have brought their own weapon ahead of time. They could have also used that to hit Overall without leaving anything behind on his head. It's the only scenario that fits.
Okay, but what about Coco? She clearly had glitter left in her mane. Did the third party take the fabric roll from Overall after knocking him out?
I don't think so. In fact, I'm not entirely convinced that Overall was the one who brought the fabric roll up to the catwalk in the first place. Playwright didn't actually see Overall carrying the fabric roll after all. We just assumed that he must have because we thought he and Coco were the only ones to go up there.
But now that it's possible that the third party was running ahead of
Oh,
them,
it's getting late,
they
jeez.
might have been the one to bring the fabric roll up to the catwalk instead.
Right. And if they had their own weapon with them, then why would they have brought the fabric roll?
Well, the only reason I can think of is because it had the fabric they wanted on it. Aha! Of course! Thanks, Twilight.
Mr.
How thick is that
White,
fabric roll?
Do you have anything to refute Prince
Must have been
Blueblood's
really
theory?
blunt.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Really? I sincerely doubt that. Enlighten me, human. What will you pull out of that spiky head of yours this time?
A pointy
Something
quill
sharp?
that will poke a hole in your theory. You suggested that this whole thing was fabricated by Miss Palmel to make it look like she had been framed. Not only can I prove that to be false, but I can also demonstrate that a third party was behind the whole crime.
Then please explain to the court, Mr. White.
We're under the assumption that the hoofprints were made from the paint from the dressing room. While that might be correct, the source of the paint is what I believe changes everything.
And what would this source be?
That would be the fabric roll.
Really?
Where are you going with this?
I want to see
There,
this.
Blue Blood. Just bear with me for a moment. Now,
Prince Blue
when this
Blood.
third party stole the special fabric from the dressing room, it still must have been wet from the paint.
And how do you know that?
Fluorescent paint takes at least 1 hour to dry completely. Overall and Coco started painting the fabric during the play's intermission.
This means if we don't take into account the time taken to actually coat the fabric, the earliest that the fabric could have been completely dry is sometime between 9 o'clock and 9:15. Since the crime occurred at 8:50, and there were no other completed versions of the fabric found at the theater, the only remaining possibility is that whomever stole the fabric must have taken the one that had recently been painted, meaning it was still wet when they stole it.
So what? How does this prove anything?
You'll see in a second. No need to rush me. Now, the thief was likely unaware that the fabric was still wet when they stole it. Because of this, they got their hooves covered in paint, causing them to leave the trail of hoofprints.
How long do you plan on continuing with this assertion of there being a third party? I've already shown how unlikely it is that they even exist. Why do you insist on prattling on about such an insane theory?
That's a good word, prattling.
Prince Blueblood, I'll show you just how sane it is. Now, when this third party stole the fabric, I initially assumed it was a sheet that they collected and placed in a bag that they had on them. However, I'd like to amend this theory.
Amend?
So what's your new theory then, Mr. Wright?
The fabric this third party stole wasn't a completed dry sheet laying on the table. Instead, I'm positive that the fabric was simply laying out to dry, and the third party rolled it up in a nearby fabric roll to collect the whole thing. They were stealthy for the most part, but eventually, either due to the noise they made, or just bad luck, the thief was caught right as they were about to leave. They took the rolled up fabric in their mouth and ran away up to the catwalk, with Coco and Overall in pursuit.
And I suppose you're going to say that both of them were knocked out by this third party as soon as they reached the top of the catwalk? Nice try, but if that were the case, our victim would have some glitter in his mane as well, wouldn't you agree?
I do, actually. But that's not my main point here. The thief could have easily used a different weapon on Overall when they attacked him. It's the weapon that knocked out Coco that will destroy your theory of her fabricating evidence.
Oh.
As has been well established and demonstrated, Miss Pommel currently has glitter in her mane. This suggests that she was struck on the head with the fabric roll. And now that I've shown the possibility that the roll actually had Overall special fabric on it at the time, we have a much more likely scenario for how it got in Coco's mane. It came from the fabric that was on the roll.
In what way does this disprove my theory, Defense? Besides, you've not done enough to prove that the fabric roll ever had any of the special fabric on it.
That's next on the agenda, actually. Now, if the fabric was still wet at the time, that would explain how the third party got their hooves covered in paint and left behind a trail of hoofprints. And if that is the case, something else would have also been left behind.
Oh? And what is that, Mr. Wright?
No! It can't be!
If Coco was struck on the head with the fabric roll when the fluorescent paint was still wet, then not only would glitter be left over, but there would also be traces of fluorescent paint on her as well.
Oh, okay. I'm following you now. I'm following you.
It means that not only was the special fabric really on the roll at the time of the crime, but it also means that Coco couldn't have gone outside to hide the fabric or wash her hooves. Because if she did, the glitter and the paint would have both been removed.
Objection! She could have just reapplied it like she did with the glitter.
Objection! Playwright and his employees were standing in the right wing after the murder. Coco couldn't have made it to the dressing room to get more paint to put on herself without being spotted.
Objection! That's assuming that Miss Pommel was struck in the first place. How about you show me that she was actually struck by the roll?
I'll do just that. By using the forensic flashlight again on Coco on the area where the glitter is still on her. Miss Pommel?
I've heard everything, Mr. Wright. Please go ahead and do what you need to do.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there it is! Just like Mr.
Right.
Wright said!
Right there in the center. Jeez.
No! No, no, no! This cannot be!
As the court can see, this evidence proves that not only could Miss Pommel not have been the one to steal the fabric or kill Mr. Concept, but also that without a doubt, this third party is the true culprit!
Oh boy, Phoenix. He just had to do it to him.
Order in the court! But Mr. Wright, if this is true, then who is responsible for this murder?
No. This was not supposed to happen. Human.
Oh, didn't go your way, 1%er?
Even if this third party somehow exists, you have no idea who it could be. And where in Celestia's name would we even begin to look? It could be any pony.
Then maybe I can make a suggestion.
Oh? What would that be, Miss Sparkle?
Prince Blueblood argued that Coco wanted the fabric to herself to get a better chance to win a fashion competition she's
So it could be someone
participating
who is
Correct?
in the competition.
And what of it?
Interrogates and
Well,
investigates
you just asked to
anybody
narrow down our search
who's...
of the mystery third party.
Yep.
If we're looking for some pony who'd want a fabric enough to kill for it, why not start with the other contestants of the fashion contest? While we're at it, we should try to find out if any of them have any connection to any pony directly involved in this case.
Who do you think you are, ordering me around like that?
Hey, she's a princess.
I remember you mentioning something earlier, Prince Blueblood, that the contest is not particularly large and has several background checks. Those checks would
That's right.
involve taking their prints, right?
Oh, take the prince from the crime scene.
Mel is the only pony who could have known that this special fabric even exists.
That may be the case right now, but I would still like the records of all the hoofprints and horseshoes of every pony in that fashion contest. If they match with the fluorescent hoofprints left behind, then I say that's all the proof we need to show that there was indeed a third pony at the scene of the crime.
I agree with Miss Sparkle. I presume this can be done relatively quickly.
It shouldn't take long, Your Honor.
Very well. I shall grant a 30-minute recess to have the police run an analysis to determine if...
In real life,
any of
though,
the
running
prints of the
prints takes a while.
contestants match the trail left behind at the theater.
I watched the first 48. I like law shows.
How could I have let this filthy, spiky-headed human get away with this?
Court is adjourned.
Okay, we got about 20 more minutes, I think. No, 10 more minutes, excuse me. Jeez. And we're gonna have to wait another year for the next episode.
Whew, that was a little intense, but we pulled through.
A little intense? My heart couldn't take that entire trial. But I'm so happy you've been able to help Coco.
We're not done yet, though. I may have proven that someone other than Coco could have done it, but she hasn't received the acquittal yet. We've still got a long way to go.
Not the first yet.
Oh,
Coco.
Miss Palmel.
Coco, you don't need to worry about a thing anymore. Phoenix is on his way to kick that prince's sorry flank, and you'll be out scot-free.
Yes, I'm very grateful, Mr. Wright.
So, why the long face, darling?
Because she's a horse.
What the prince said about overall that he planned to propose to me. Was that true?
Oh, jeez. Oh, this is gonna hurt.
Well, you always said in your letters that he cared a lot about you. So it wouldn't surprise me if he took it to the next level.
But they weren't dating, though.
And, well,
Just go from
I was
roommates
supposed keep it a
to
secret, but
fiancés, but... Oh?
it wasn't too long ago that he requested me to look for a special gem for you.
Oh,
He said he wanted
no.
a gem to match your eyes. So from it, he fashioned a ring.
He said that about me?
Oh.
Actually wanted to propose to me? It's a beautiful ring. I would have happily said yes.
Oh, there, darling.
Oh my god. Dude, I'm actually tearing up. Bro, I know it's hard to see on this bullcrap camera.
Overall would not want to see
Fuck.
you like this. Keep
Dude.
shining bright like that gem.
Oh, dude.
You're right, Verity.
That's
I
gonna
wouldn't wanna see
do
me
a
like
major
this.
damage on her
I
psyche.
have to be strong. For him and for me.
Stay strong, Stay strong, Coco.
I'm glad you're feeling better, Miss Palmel.
Thanks,
Actually
Mr.
hurt.
Wright. I wouldn't be here without you.
Actually, while you're here, I'd like to ask you a couple questions.
Oh!
Where were you on last Tuesday before last Wednesday?
Since we started discussing the events that you were involved with on the night of the murder,
I gotta turn this crying around bit.
Well, yes.
Poor girl.
Actually, it was a bit slow, but I've been regaining my memories as the trial was going on.
Anything at all will help greatly.
I remember that Overall and I had been working on the special fabric in the dressing room during the second
Oh, they look so happy.
We had just finished coating one of the true rolls of fabric with the fluorescent paint once the second act was nearing its conclusion.
So we were right. The fabric that was stolen was the one you two had been painting.
Yeah, we set it out on the table to dry. After that, I stepped out for a minute to wash my hooves at the glitter and paint.
You left the room?
Yes, but only for a few minutes.
If the thief was nearby, they may have seen Coco leave the room and taken advantage of that opportunity. So, what happened after that?
Well, while I was returning to the dressing room, I saw Overall sprinting out the door. I called out to him, but he didn't answer, so I followed him. I saw him running up the catwalk, and I was afraid that he would hurt himself up there because it was so dark, so I quickly turned on the safety lights and continued to follow. On the way up the stairs, I heard a loud clanging noise, and I ran as quickly as I could to see what happened, and that's all I remember.
Playwright mentioned a clang too, if I recall. That must have been when Overall was struck on the head with that unidentified weapon. What could it have been? Something metal? What about after you regained consciousness? Do you remember anything after that?
I do. After I woke up, I saw that there was an empty fabric roll in my hooves, which were...
Okay, so someone planted evidence on her.
Completely covered in glitter once again.
The fabric roll was left in your hooves, and the glitter reappeared? Are you certain you washed all of the glitter off of yourself in the first place?
I'm sure of it, Mr. Wright. I don't know how the glitter got on my hooves again, and I'm not sure how this empty fabric roll ended up where it did, either.
I see. Better make a note of that. Is there anything else you can tell me?
Not that I know of. Everything else happened exactly as Playwright testified. He stayed with me until I was taken away by the police. As soon as I got to my cell, I shook the glitter off my hooves as best I could.
I see. Well, hopefully what you do remember will be useful in some way.
I hope so, Mr. Wright.
Now, Twilight, I have a question for you.
What is it, Phoenix?
I'm curious as to why you're so sure that the third pony from the incident was a contestant of this fashion contest. I don't understand how anyone else in the contest would have known about the fabric. And just because they could possibly have a reason to steal the fabric for themselves, it's still not exactly a concrete conclusion, even if it did help us out.
I understand your uncertainty, Phoenix. I'm pretty sure all the contestants would be confident in their own ability to win. However, there is one particular mayor that we know that would do whatever it took to win.
Suri. It has to be Suri. Suri has to be the killer.
Who would that be?
Suri Polomare.
Yep.
Whoa, the mood turned rather quickly there. Suri Polomare. Huh. Who is she?
You recall when Rarity bumped into that one mare during yesterday's investigation?
Oh, that pony? I remember now. So, her name is Suri Polomare. What does she have anything
so
to do
much.
with the case?
Do you remember what she said back
One of
then?
my least favorite characters in the entire thing show.
I've no time to waste on you, Rarity. I'm on a tight schedule, so you better stay out of my way. I don't want another victory taken away by your hooves, okay?
That's right, because Rarity was in another contest back in season 4.
What does she mean?
I believe I can explain.
Yeah, Rarity and Suri were against each other in one fashion contest.
Several months ago, I was involved in a similar fashion contest to the one
Yep.
Coco entered. And Suri was a contestant as well. I had my own special fabric, and she was enamored by it.
That's right.
So I let her use the fabric for small touches on her own designs. She ended up using my entire fabric and claimed it as her own. Despite that, I managed to beat her. But I didn't know that I won until Coco told me.
What do you mean?
Well, remember when I said I was an assistant of some pony?
Wait, are you saying it was Suri?
Yes, it was her. In fact, when Suri got a hold of Rarity's fabric, instead of making the dress herself, she made me do it. It was excruciating. And that part about Rarity not knowing that she won the contest until I told her. Suri was the one who lied to Rarity and her friends and made me keep quiet about it, too.
Oh, so earlier in the trial...
I hate Suri so much.
Did you really have so little money that you could barely afford a place to live?
Yes.
The fact that she didn't pay her employee that well.
She always made enough for both of us with the designs she sold. Suri is a great designer, but when it came to whose work she would sell, she almost always chose to sell designs I had made over her own.
I hate people who do that. I really do.
To mention that they weren't hers.
Wow, this pony sounds so selfish.
I know, right? Not giving some pony proper credit and stealing.
Like, I understand, like, the world is a grind, but at the same time, being selfish like that is so...
Do you think she would actually go as far
That
as
doesn't vibe
murder?
with me, Chief.
I don't know. I don't think she's that heartless. But if those hoofprints actually belong to her, then it couldn't have been any pony else.
Hopefully the hoofprint analysis will give us the answers we need.
The trial's about to resume. Will the defendant...
That has not been a half an
please
hour.
return to the courtroom?
It looks like they've already finished their investigation. Let's hope we don't get any bad news from this.
Hold up, Twilight. There's still one more thing I want to talk to Coco about.
Huh? What is it?
Coco, you hid your true relationship with Overall from me on purpose, didn't you? I want to know why.
After working with Suri for so long, I began to believe in her philosophy.
The idea that it's every pony for themselves in the big city.
Uh-huh. I encountered so many ponies like that while working with Suri that eventually I just started to believe it was true. It wasn't until Rarity came along that I realized there were ponies out there with the well-being of others before themselves.
But what does
People
this
do that
have
or
to
the real
with why
OGs.
you hate your relationship with Overall?
Even though I now know there are selfless ponies out there, it doesn't change the fact that there are many who do think and act selfishly, and assume the same from others. That's why I thought it would be better if you didn't know the truth about us. I was worried that if you
Don't
did
be sad.
and
Don't be
realized
sad,
what
Coco.
it meant, you'd have known
Seeing
how
you sad
strong
makes me
motive
sad,
I
girl.
had to kill him, and wouldn't have taken my case as a result.
I see. You said something similar yesterday, I believe.
Well, you were in the area where he fell. Still, just because you were at the scene of the crime, it doesn't mean you did it.
I know, but everybody who saw me thought I did it.
Court of
Rarity
public
doesn't
opinion right
think you
there.
did it. She certainly believes you wouldn't have the heart to kill.
Although I appreciate her believing I didn't do it, it's not enough to convince every pony else.
You were frightened by the looks everyone was giving you while you were being arrested. That's why you thought you had to hide the truth from me.
Yeah.
But because of that, Coco, we were put in a very tough spot. I was completely unprepared to argue against Blue Blood's assertions. It was only because of Twilight's quick thinking that we managed to escape a guilty verdict there.
Yeah, without Twilight, you'd be screwed.
If you want me to help you the best I can, I'm going to need you to trust me.
Trust?
Yes. We defense attorneys fight for the innocence of our clients. Through our
No, true,
ability
some
to
people do
trust
it for the
completely
publicity.
in that innocence. However, in order to fight as hard as we can, we need our clients to believe in us and tell us everything they can, so we can make the truth known.
You would have trusted Overall with the whole truth, right, Coco?
Of course.
Well, come on, don't use the dead man as a example here. I mean, I kind of get what you come from, Rarity, but I would not use a dead man in this instance.
And I promise I will believe in and fight
But-
for you until the bitter end.
Okay, Mr. Wright. I
Whatever
trust you.
it takes to win.
From now on, I'll tell you
With honesty,
everything I know about the murder.
Thank you, Coco.
We've got to get going now, Phoenix. We don't want to damage our case by being late.
Right. Let's go then. Hopefully we can put an end to this, here and now.
A one-day trial. Alright, so next episode we're definitely going to be seeing Suri. Wait, that's the Will Stater? What? I thought that was the same guy from last time. Will was in it? What? Okay, Will, I see you. Huh. I had no idea the Will Stater was the judge. I thought they got the same guy from last time. I see you, Will. Respect, brother. Jeez, he got a whole set of casts here. I mean, like, cast and crew, like, good lord. Oh, Minty was in this? Well, he played a part? Okay. Minty Root is dope. Jeez, a lot of software there. Good lord. Just links to... Alright, I kind of want to see what little bit is at the end. Okay, that was everything. I was expecting like a little bit at the end. So, my thoughts. It was great. Nothing short of it. It was everything that I hoped for. Like, there's times that I was like starting to believe Blue Blood, I will admit, but my boy Phoenix, right, and Twilight pulled through, which was awesome. I do have one critique that, because you mentioned the third part, like at some points in here, I forget where it was specifically, but I already made a comment on this. Like you said, that's overall concept and Coco Pamel were following her teacher. That's kind of hinting that Suri was the killer before we even got to addressing Suri's role in the series. And that's really my only critique that I have. Other than that, everything seemed to flow pretty well. Voice acting was great. I did not have any idea that was the Will Snader. I thought that was the OG judge from Turnabout Storm, but no, that was Will. Will, dude, you sound just like him. 10 out of 10, bro. Webcake, you did awesome. Coco Pamel's voice actress, she got me emotional. Shout out to Coco Pamel's voice actress. Like who played Coco Pamel's voice? Okay, let's see here. Phoenix Wright, Judge, Webcake, Coco. Pretty Pegasus Wings. Okay, Pretty Pegasus Wings, you did great. Like, you got me pretty dang emotional. Oh, the person who plays Suri and Athena is the same voice actress? Bet. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else in here that I recognize. Yeah, the only people I really do recognize is DeWill Snader and Webcake. Like, everyone else, a lot of these other people that I don't really know. But they all did great. Julius Jim sounded just a little bit different than from the first episode, because I do know he played he played Phoenix in this series. He was the guy casted as Phoenix. But hey, Julius, you're doing good, man. I thought for some reason I thought they switched voice actors, but no, still Julius. Good on you, man. You're doing good. Keep it up. Everyone here is doing great. Like, everyone's just doing awesome. Like, cast, keep doing what you're doing. Crew, keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing part 3 next year, probably. I low-key hope that Al Javis gets it out soon. But at the same time, I would rather him take his time and make sure this series is top-tier quality than it being just rushed and not good at all. But I am willing to place money that the murderer is going to be Suri. Everyone did amazing. just love. My only critique is that I feel like you unintentionally did a little bit of foreshadowing in your script writing. Just keep a sharper eye on your script, because that could have been unintentionally just giving away this, a major plot point. So just keep an eye on that. But hey, you guys did great, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the series. Not just this case, but all the other cases that precede this, which will probably take, at this rate, let's see here. So I'm going to assume there's going to be I think there's 3 cases. This being case 1. Part 1 came out last year. Part 2 came out this year. So part 3 is going to come out in 2021. So that means another 2 more cases, 6 more parts. We're looking at another 6 years of this. We're going until Generation 5, boys. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching me react to this. I'm sorry that I didn't communicate much. I was really hyper-focused on this, with the exception of texting occasionally here and there. Just a friend of mine was texting me. But I loved it. This was honestly great. So that being said, guys, make sure you are subscribing to the original channel, which I will have in the description down below. I want to apologize right now for the lack of uploads in the past while. I've been working on projects for other people, and I recently just became a moderator in my rap group's Discord. Link in the description down below. And so a lot of my free time has been pretty busy, and also work. I've been picking up on hours there. Don't get me wrong, I do have other projects that I have in the works. It's just gonna take some time to get them out. In the meantime, I might do some just some small meme videos or small covers of stuff. Don't worry, I got a couple cool projects in the works. Don't worry. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching my dumb face react to Attorneys and Ponies. That'd be a great parody series, Attorneys and Ponies. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care of each other. Love each other. I'll see you next video.